It's a commentary version for Sapphire personal best. Overall, I have things to love and things to hate about this run, but it's good enough for now. Just a walkthrough, strategy, mistakes, overall commentary. You have to pick female for one specific fight later on in the game. And you name your characters one letter for faster text boxes. Need to pick up an extra potion. Money is very scarce. This is more of a beginner's type route. It uses less of the advanced techniques. For me, it's just to be more consistent and not have to reset as much. The trick that makes or breaks the run is this manip. You need to do a save reset on right here to get the starter, and it wants to be basically as perfect stats as you can get. So you're going to save the game, and you're going to start a timer at the same time you reset the game, because you want to hit a specific frame. The game runs at 60 frames per second. You have to hit one specific frame. It basically gives you perfect attack, defense, all the stats that you need. You're looking for female Pucciana, so I knew it was a failure, so I had to try again. I have a timer that's next to me that you can't hear, but I use it. So it's female Pooch. You want 21 health, male, double check, naughty nature, so you're good to go. Usually, if the Pucciana is male, it means they do it 1 frame early. Second try is not too bad. I usually try to get it within 3 attempts. If I don't get it on the 3rd attempt, I reset. Keep in mind, the only way to do this manip is to have a cartridge with a dead battery. Because if you have a battery, there's calendar events and stuff that makes the randomness different between cartridges. So you have to get rid of the battery so that all cartridges are exactly the same in terms of the randomness when you reset a game. That's a misplay right there. I accidentally opened the bag. So 2 encounters right away in the bag, so I was not happy at this point. There is a way to avoid encounters here, but it's a more complicated thing, and you have to hope that you got the right mudkip and you can't double check, as I did when I got it. But I avoid encounter there, so that's good. This fight can kill you. You know, if he leers you twice and he critical hits you, that's more than half your health. It doesn't usually happen, but it can happen. You hopefully want to get a critical hit here so that you don't have to heal for the next fight. Standard fight. So we're gonna have to heal using the potion that we got from the computer. And you get the running shoes, which is only the first part of what makes movement in this game extremely difficult. Watching world record people move around with the running shoes and the bike, it's something to see. It's faster to go up and talk to her rather than try to leave. If you try to leave without talking to her, she stops you, walks towards you, and does the same text boxes, but it's faster to do it like this. So off we go. No encounters, that's good. This fight can be extremely frustrating. He has 3 moves: Tail Whip, Attack, and Growl, and you are speed tied with this Zigzagoon. So it's a 50-50 coin flip on who goes first. So the worst case scenario is speed tie loss Growl. Before you deal damage, you lose your attack. But that ended up being a very good fight. Not only did we get to crit, but we also avoided taking damage. Which is very good because for my route, where I'm not using the advanced techniques, I rely a lot more on the potions for the first part of this game. So it's very easy to run out. And if you run out the next sections of the game, you gotta really hope you don't get anything bad. So then I mess up the movement right there, and I get maximum encounters, 3. So that's a big setback. So the reason why I decided just to walk left after getting that encounter is because after an encounter you get 4 tiles of immunity. So normally, if you don't get an encounter, you pass that trainer and go down to walk the rest of the way left without being in the grass. But since you got an encounter, you might as well just go straight left, because the odds of you getting an encounter is like on the last tile. So it's better to just go straight left. We went into the center just to set up a warp spot for that Pokemon Center later in the game. It'll come into play much later. This is one of the few speed runs where you don't use an actual Pokemon Center for healing. Not even once. This is the only boring spot of the game, which is the tutorial. Take your hands off the controller and it just does it itself. Coming up is the first, what they call spinner trainers. You know, typically in any Pokemon game, if the trainer sees you, you have to fight it. So you want to avoid that. In this game, they spin around, and there's a bunch of mechanics and nuances with how they work. I'm not going to go into the details because I'm not expert on that, but for specific spinners, there's ways to get around them, and in some ways you have to get around different ways. However, for beginners, and what I just do, just for consistency, is I just use one trick, Bag Manip, which is just stopping, opening the menu, and then walking past as you close the menu at the same time. It resets their spin, and so you got a small window where you can walk past them. So you just wait until they look away from you, open the bag, and then walk past them as you close the bag. And then it works 100% of the time. So I was having too many of my runs die to just slipping of the controller and just not being exact. So I'm just sticking to Bag Manips on. It loses time, but it's way more consistent. This fight is extremely frustrating. You know, it's 3 moves: Tackle, Howl, and Sand Attack. And if he bombards you with Sand Attacks right away, you can miss a lot and not only waste a ton of time, but easily kill you if he just does Sand Attack, Sand Attack, Sand Attack, Sand Attack. It's not as strong as the original games, Red, Blue, Yellow, but I've lost a ton of runs to this one fight. Did we leave with no damage? I think we left with no damage, so that's good because less need to worry about potions. So it comes up another spinner, same thing, open the bag, close and walk past. Then it comes up as another spinner. Wait till it looks away. Same thing. So, I mean, there's ways to get around them using specific movements. So, probably each one can save you like maybe 2-3 seconds for each one of those Bag Manips I just did, using the advanced techniques. But to me, it's just not worth it. I've lost way too many, and I eventually just gave up. So, another one of the advanced techniques is getting a Wingull before this fight that can handle this Geodude. You get a very specific Wingull that'll tank it, the Geodude, all the way down to just enough where you can kill it with one Mud Slap. But that's a very tough manip, and we don't do that. So the only thing you can do is just use 5 to 6 Mud Slaps until it dies. So this is where it starts. If this fight goes badly, it just drains your potions right here. Whereas you wouldn't have to worry about that if you had the Wingull. So we ended up taking quite a bit of damage. But now we're at level 10 now, and now we got water gun, so we can just go through, right, all the Geodudes in one turn. But now is the point where you start to think of what health you're at going into the gym leader, Roxanne. If you're too low, then you gotta heal. You want to be right in a sweet spot. The ideal spot is to be about 9 less from your maximum health. About that much, like 9, 8 less than your max health. Because you want to get a specific setup so that you can tank 3 hits, but you want to be low enough that on the second hit you activate Mudkip's ability, which is Torrent. So if you're at 1/3 or less HP, it does a 50% damage boost for water moves. So you want to get into that sweet spot, because if you can, then you can have a very rare chance of actually just killing the nose pass in 2 hits, and you go ignore all the potions that Roxanne has. She has 2, and she'll use them once it gets in the heal range. So with this type of HP, it's not very good, but you don't want. I'm trying to save potions, so I usually just go with Growl whenever I'm at low health like this, and then just deal with it if it starts dealing about a bunch of damage. I got some potions left. So, Rock, Throw, Miss. Yeah, this fight ended up being really weird because it was a miss and 2 hardens, which is very unusual. So, here's the first potion, kicked into heal range. That's not enough to kill it if you put in Torrent, but you're still faster, so it doesn't matter. So, it ended up being a slow fight. Because you gotta sit through all the potions. And then it tackled, which put me into Torrent, because 13 or less is Torrent, so it guaranteed a kill on that move right there. Problem is that we're going to be leveling up the here and next turn, and that takes me out of Torrent, and you want to be in Torrent for the next stretch for a few fights. Makes them a lot faster. Well, not a lot faster, but it does save time. Yeah, so unfortunately you don't get to see the super cool strat with Roxanne. Just that's the typical fight with my setup usually. If you have the Wingull, you can set up the perfect health usually very consistently. Now this is like one of the best parts of the run right here that made this run save a lot of time, is this right here. You have a chance to get birds early in the game and without having to use the Manep, and it saves you a lot of time later in the run because you don't have to wait around looking for a bird. Just get it right here. And it does suck in the ball, and it dealt damage, which pushed me back into Torrent for the fights. So this encounter ended up probably saving me 1-2 minutes. Maybe not that much, probably like a minute, I would say. Now, I actually did something a little bit different this time. Normally, on that bag Manip against that trainer, I set up a repel right there. But in this case, I did not get an encounter before that, but I got the encounter right here. You have to kill one encounter before you leave this area, because you need just enough XP to get to level 16 in the end. So, if you were to set up a repel there, there would only be about 4 patches of grass that you have a chance to get an encounter left. before you leave this area, where the repel wears out, and if you don't get it on that, then you basically have to just walk back and forth until you eventually get an encounter, which wastes time. So it's about the same. It's not too much of a difference. It's because, you know, doing that repel right there requires an additional menu. So sometimes it saves time. I don't know if this saved time. I don't know if that's a misstep right there. I'm not going to go through all the movement mistakes once I get to the bike. There's a ton. That's probably one of the things I'm not happy with in this run is the biking. So this is why Torrent matters for this. It's a guaranteed kill with Torrent. But it doesn't matter if we got crit, so that was kind of frustrating. Because that was the point where you can save time. Still save time, but last now. So since we set up the repel later, it's a guaranteed that we're not going to get another encounter before we leave this area. And we don't want any more because we killed the Whismer, so we don't need anything more. I think, yeah, this one took a while. Now, yeah, this was insane. How long it took for this person to look the other way. This has got to be a record of how long it took for them to get out of the way. Nice time loss. This fight can be risky if you're at really low health, but we had pretty good enough health to take this. Because this Machop knows low kick and he has a high chance of crit, and I think the crit is like 10 or 11. So if you're at like 5 health, you're basically 1 in 3 to die to this fight right here. And that has happened to me. So you see right there, we just barely had enough for 16. And we need 16 because we're going to be going up against the second gym leader, and we need the stat boost from the evolution and Mud Shot, which is the move you learn from evolution. See, there's where the repel wears off. If it didn't wear off normally it would wear off just before you hit that trainer. So you got like 4 steps you gotta take that you can get an encounter on. Cutscenes you gotta get through. So leaving this area, it's okay. It's kind of on the slow end just because we got pretty bad Roxanne splits. We got a lot of encounters. We got slow Roxanne fights. And we're going to be a bit behind just because we caught the early bird. It's tough to factor in how much time, where you currently are on pace for when you get that extra encounter and catch. You eventually get it back in the end, but to gauge where you are until then is tough. First big shopping of the run. We gotta buy a lot of healing items, X items, but unlike Pokemon Yellow, where you just buy it all right away. Oh, so yeah, so because you got the bird, you can sell all of your Pokeballs and Great Balls. But if we didn't get that Tailo, I would have had to keep a Great Ball. Some X speeds, some X attacks, and then empty out my wallet with repels. So unlike Pokemon Yellow, where you can buy all the X items all at once, in this game, you gotta buy it over like 3-4 shopping events. And as you saw, we had like no money left. So we have a bird, so sometimes I risk this area right here and go through the grass, especially if I don't have a bird. It's a shame you gotta go through all of this, like 5 minutes of cutscenes, getting to the place, before going against Brawly, because Brawly is a heavy reset area. I don't know if my movement for the cave was good on this split, for this run. You're basically walking in the dark. It's not too bad. Just gotta memorize it. I mean, I have much better walking through this area than the caves that before Elite 4. Just because I've gone through this cave several times through my runs. It's not too bad. You're going to take advantage of all these moves that people give you, and you're just going to sell them because you need more money. That's how scarce you are with money. It's kind of like the complete opposite of Pokemon Yellow. Now, oh, that's a step right there. A lot of people usually heal up before this fight. I prefer, just because it saves a menu, because you can repel and heal on that menu in the cave. But here, I prefer to do the healing after this fight, because the Meditite can use confusion, damage you, and I prefer to usually want to be at full health for this fight. So I do an extra, that's an extra menu. So I could have taken care of this in the cave menu, but I'm doing another menu just in case that Meditite damages you. So this fight's very annoying. Like 20% to die, because he's very likely to critical hit you, and when it does bulk up, which raises its stats, then you gotta play a tough to tell game where you gotta not deal too much damage, but also not too little damage, to not put him into heal range, but also have enough to finish him off. But this is actually one of the cases where he did not bulk up, which is actually pretty rare. So now there's bulk up on this guy. So if I were to miss this mud shot right here, I'd be in big trouble. But in both cases, with both the Machop and the Makihita, I didn't do too much damage and put him into heal range. Because usually, if they bulk up, you hit them into heal range and then they heal with the bulk up, you pretty much lose. Recently, this fight has actually not been giving me much trouble recently. I've been on a pretty good streak with winning these fights. I mean, this fight was very generous, considering he didn't bulk up on a chop, which is typical. And then, as you're dealing damage, you gotta look to see exactly how much health they have. Because sometimes you do too much damage where you need to use a tackle or a water gun. Sometimes you do a low roll, and sometimes you need to do another mud shot to make 3 mud shots to kill it. And then if you're wrong, you really pay the price. Soft Sand gives ground moves a 50% boost, I believe. And we're gonna make Marsh Stomp hold it for quite a while. It's kind of funny because for the first half of the run, we relied on ground move boosts, and then on the second half of the run, we rely on water move boosts. Because right now we have access to a bit more powerful ground move than water move. Marsh Stomp over, Mud Shot over Water Gun. Now these fights are free, but I need to pay attention with how much health I have. I need to be a specific amount of health leaving these 2 fights. I need to be basically above 21 and less than 40. And the reason why is because the next fight, which has a ton of strategy I have to go over, you want to make sure that the Pokemon only uses a specific types of moves. You want him to avoid using Growl, because if he growls, you're not going to have enough attack to deal with the threats that you need to take care of right away. Zubat can be scary because it can supersonic you. So in this case, this is a very risky health, 22, which is just 1 above the max rolls on 3 tackles, which is what you gotta tank from the first Pokemon Numel. So if he crits, you're in trouble. Because we need to set up 3 X items before we go in on the next guys. And then this is, so I'll start explaining the strategy. So this is the reason why we pick a girl for this next fight. Because depending on whether you're a boy or a girl, the rivals are either going to start with Numel or Wailmer. And we wanted to start with Numel. Because the power of Numel is a lot lower than Wailmer on average. So that's part 1 of the strategy. Second part of the strategy is, being low enough health so that Numel doesn't growl you. Third part of the strategy is setting up all the X items before going into the Grovyle. And the Grovyle has an extremely powerful move, but that's not really the problem. It's an Absorb. You can tank a hit at full health, but the problem is that it's going to be healing itself with that move. So, but we want to finish it off before it can heal. So you specifically set yourself up that you're going to be slower than the Grovyle on the first turn. So he's going to absorb, but he's not going to heal. He's still at full health. Then the Mud Shot lowers speed whenever it hits. So then you're going to be faster than the Grovyle on the second Mud Shot. So that allows you to kill him in 2 hits without him healing. So here comes the attacks. You gotta tank 3. You hope that he doesn't crit, and he doesn't Ember Burn you. And it was actually pretty nice that he missed this tackle right here, because we didn't heal quite to full. And that does matter because if the Grovyle does max roll on the Absorb, he might be within range to quick attack and kill you. But in this case, it was a very low roll. So, you're slower, deal the Mud Shot, Now you're faster, and you can kill it before he absorbs and heals. And that's the fight. Very, very complex strategy just for this one fight to get through this. I also had to be paying attention to how many mud shots I had, because like I said before, we're not using any Pokemon Center, so the number of moves we have is limited. We want to be at 5 or more, because we're going to be using an ether that we got from the forest early in the game. I pick up another revive here strictly for money. I just want more money, stuff to sell for money. I keep one of the revives as a backup. Here's one of the spinners where actually it's a pretty easy move. You just gotta walk in that specific pattern, then he cannot see you. Because it's an easy move, and if you don't do it, then you gotta do 2 back nips. One to walk above him, and then to the left. So now we get the bike. Now here comes the scary movement. I'm okay with the bike. I'm far from a master. So we want to go fast, so we go with the mock bike. So we got a bit of a big menu right here. For my strategy, I heal the full, get Mudshot moves back, Rock Smash, and then we register the bike so we can use the select button to put on the bike whenever we want with the button. Now this whole gym area is another game of balancing your health. Not only for the gym leader, but also for the fight after this gym. You can't be too low and you can't be too high. Now, normally, that was a misplay right there. I was supposed to Mudshot right there, so that's mine. That was one of the mistakes in the run, but thankfully I did not get punished. He usually just spams double team, but I only lost a turn, but that is a time loss right there. There's 2 trainers you have to face before the gym, and if they don't deal damage to you, going into the gym leader Watson at full health is very disadvantaged. Is a bad scenario because his AI wants to use Supersonic in that case. And we're trying to avoid the lead Pokemon Magnemite from using Supersonic. And the only way to do that is to be at below 50%. This is the time. Oh yeah, this ended up being a big time waster. He detected on the water gun, and then he detects on the Mudshot, so that was a very frustrating. So, at the bare minimum, we're trying to get below 49 health, because that's 70%, and if you can get under 70%, he's less likely to use Supersonic, but it's not 0%. If you get below 50%, it's 0% chance he uses Supersonic. So if I'm below 50% going into the Magnemite, then I set up the X speed on Magnemite, and if I'm not below 50%, then I just go in with the Mudshot and hope he doesn't. He either uses Sonic Boom or uses Supersonic and miss and try to get through it, because if you try to set up the X speed on the Magnemite, it's just bad situation. But in this case, we didn't take any damage from the Voltorbs. I'm usually hoping for a Sonic Boom from one of them. I believe it's 1 and 4 for each of them to use Sonic Boom, which does 20. So this is one of the cases of bad situation going into Hudson. But so we're at him very likely to use Supersonic, but he did not. So it ended up working pretty well. Except the fact that he, instead of the Voltorb using Sonic Boom, he used Rollout or Tackle. And that actually makes it an unfortunate, scary situation for the next fight. What I probably could have done is I probably could have just tackled right there on the Voltorb and have him deal a little bit more damage to get below the 50% mark. Because right now we're just 2 above 50%. So if we were at 35 or less, we would be fine. So, but the problem is that the Voltorb can kill you. It has self-destruct. It's rare, but you can. I've died twice to Voltorb using self-destruct. So now comes like the longest stretch of the biking movement, which is like the scariest part of the run in terms of movement. I practiced this several times and I still made a lot of mistakes on this. See, right there, so I went a little bit too far to the left and I could have gotten an encounter there. Like I said, I'm just going straight for the bag manips. There's other ways to get around these guys, but I'm not doing them. I'll take the time loss. So coming up is this fight. So in this case, I ended up saving because, like I said before, I'm not below 50%, and so this lead Wingull has a chance to Supersonic. He's not going to growl, but which is the worst thing, but he does have a chance to Supersonic. So just in case, I decided to save here. This is a this is a gatekeeper fight because of the Rosalia after this Wingull. 77% chance it dies, and you also have a 5% chance to miss a mud shot. And if you don't hit it, you instantly die. It has Mega Drain, and it'll just completely kill you. So it's basically 1 out of every 4 runs that gets to this point will die to this fight if you don't save. And getting that critical hit on the Wingull actually ended up being very important because it didn't even give him a chance to use Supersonic. Some more biking. Get a nugget here just for some more money. And now this is the biggest shopping menu. I sell one of the revives. That's in the sub right there. Sell the nugget. And I sell all the moves that I don't need. The only one we want to keep is Shockwave. So we get more heals. Super Repel, specials. All the specials for the rest of the run. We're going to be needing even more X speeds and X attacks after this, believe it or not. Gotten away. So now, this is one of the sections where we can get past pretty fast because we don't need a bird. This is where we would look for a bird if we don't have it yet. Forgot to repel, so that's a mistake right there. I just went, at that point I just went for it. There's only one section of grass right here to get hit there, and we didn't, so it's not punished so badly. More bag manips. Yep, pretty bad, really bad biking. And then I screw up the movement right here because I misread when the cutscene ended and I pressed down too early. So this is another embarrassing part. Usually I don't have problems with this, but in this case I did. I usually play it safe right here with the bag manips and walking, because it's very easy to run into these guys with the bike. Same thing here. I get off the bike just for this one section because it's more consistent for me to line up. Yep, most all of this is just backtracking to get back to where I need to go. Again, I've rode into this guy too many times, so I was just playing it safe. One step at a time. We don't need water gun, like I said, we're relying entirely based on attack-based moves, mud shot and strength for a while. One step too high, one step too low right there. So now we go back through the whole thing again. This is where I almost killed the run right there. He didn't see me, thankfully. And then I tried to open the menu. He looked at the last second, so I had to do the menu again. So, below average for me. A few too many bunks. But I save time on this split because I have the bird. So coming up on this next fight is has a little bit of complications with it. This is where we're going to use the bird as a way to set up stuff and to tank some ailments that the opponent dishes out. We set up a guard spec, which prevents status effects from hitting you, and also Mighty Ina's lead ability tanks your attack, and you don't want that because we're relying on attack-based moves for this fight. So it serves two purposes: setting up a guard spec and tanking the Intimidate at the start of the fight. And then it's going to be a whole game of starting to put the X attacks and X speeds on Marsh Stomp, and then trying to make sure that you can tank enough health, but you don't want to be too high health to avoid rollback using Supersonic because you'll use it if you're too high health. I don't think I missed a single mud shot in this fight. Keep in mind, mud shot is 5% chance to miss. It is a lot more common than you think to miss because you use it so many times. So before the fight, switch out. And I try to make sure that the bird is less than 50% health, because I think that the Mighty Hyena, depending on whether or not he uses Bite or Sand Attack, is depending on the percentage, not the whether or not it thinks it can kill. Because I've had a bird at full health be Sand Attacked, and we don't want that. So set up the guard spec, they tank the Intimidate, so now it's done, kill it. And now we start putting the attacks on. It's just a turn-by-turn basis of managing everything, just whether or not he sand attacks or bites. So we're gonna go in there here and see how much damage it is. That's a very bad roll. And we got a sand attack, so we're just gonna set up the X attack right here. And then I had to think for a bit to decide if I wanted to go in here, and I decided yes, because I'm at low health, which means the Golbat's not going to use Supersonic because I'm at exactly hit 50 HP, 50% health. So I just have to set up one more thing, which is the X speed. Actually, no, I had that all set up. Okay, so yeah. So no, it was actually perfect. I just had to tank one wing attack, so as long as he didn't crit, that was fine. You can mudshot here, but I chose to strength. It can kill it. You just gotta sit. There's a little bit of time loss because you got the rough skin text box. So good fight. No critical hits, not too high health. That's a bad bonk right there. We get a bunch of more heals. Energy powers are super potions, energy roots are hyper potions. This is one of my mistakes right there. I miscounted. I didn't think I had enough for an energy powder, and I did, so I opened it. So that was a time loss right there. So for this next fight, is where we take advantage of the Pokemon Center we walked into at the beginning of the game. So when you die, you warp back to the last Pokemon Center you visited. Not used, visited. So what you have to do on this fight is that you have to set up a poison so that you can, after you win the fight, you can wipe out all your Pokemon so that you warp back to Pelipper. I just gotta switch back to Marshtomp, got healed, not too high, but I probably should have, that's actually kind of a mistake right there. What I should have done is I should have used 2 potions instead of a super. I should have healed for 40 instead of 50, because that actually did end up mattering in the end. It could have saved me like 10 seconds right there. Yeah. So we gotta set up 4 X attacks, and we just gotta wait until we get poisoned. I believe it's Smog has a 70% chance to hit, and 30% chance to poison, or 30 or 40% chance to poison. So we got it on the second try, which is pretty good. I don't want to complain, but if we got poison on the first one, it would have been perfect. Because once you're done with this fight, you want to be as low as health as possible so you can wipe out faster. And you can't wait until you get too low because then the Slugma will use overheat and kill you. Here's another one of those where you really have to hit mud shot. If you miss here, it's over. The X attacks is just to be able to kill this in one shot. So I had a couple of, if it kept dragging on, I had a couple of extra X specials to use in case it was taking too long. You can rock smash once to also stall a little bit. There's a couple of ways you can stall if you just are not getting the poison. So unfortunately, this is like kind of the worst case scenario for how much health you have. Because if I had just a little bit more, like around 35, I would have done a different strat than just walking around waiting to die. If you're that high of health at like 35, you can actually leave the gym, go to the desert, and pick up an extra rare candy for safety. And you can wipe out faster on your bike. But 27's not enough to make it to the rare candy, so it's still faster to tank this, to just go like this. So now we die, and we're back to that Pokemon Center. And now we're right at the next gym that we need to go to. So it skips all the backtracking. This fight is extremely annoying. It has Sing, and it has Cute Charm. And it's very likely to Sing. But we got the critical hit, which prevents it from either Q-charming us or singing. It skips all that. Sometimes you can just get locked into constant sings and Q-charms. So that's probably one of the best critical hits in the entire run, is that. Big time save right there. Because that fight can go really bad. This is also another fight that would be amazing to critical hit here. We do the Mud Shot first and then do Strength for the rest because Strength does about the same, just a little bit less. But the Mud Shot makes him slower, so we can get ahead. Getting Sand Attack there was very unlucky. There's the crit that we wanted, which that's unfortunate. Because if we had crit there, critical hits ignore any stat boosts, so it would have ignored the X defend. This was a bit of a risk right here. I know a lot. Yeah, I probably should have healed right here because I have to heal regardless. Because if you don't hit the range right here, it's a 2-shot. He can slash and critical hit you, and because he has dire hit, it's very likely to crit. But thankfully, we got it. That was a tough range to hit. So I could have paid the price for that one pretty badly. So we gotta go all the way to full HP. So like I can't potion because it's 23, not 20. And I did a safety save just because I was tired of dying to this fight. This fight is second worst fight in the game. This one. You are 30% chance to die in this fight because if you get critical hit on any turn, you die. And there's nothing you can do about it. You could be at full health, you still die. So it's so bad we have to set up an X defend just to tank 2 facades from these slackings. We gotta set up 2 X attacks. Getting a yawn is annoying. I think I got yawn twice on this fight, which was really annoying. And it's funny because using these full heals and heal powders to take off these sleeves ended up mattering in the end. I'll get to that later. Yeah, it really sucks that we got a yawn right there. We really don't want to see a yawn here. Okay, good. So I'm just gonna go in and finish it off. And then I'm gonna heal on the Vigoroth. Because I'm at low health, so he's likely to faint attack, which is a low damage attack, and so he did. So take little damage there. Don't want to get crit here. I think I'm almost out of range of a crit slash. Oh, so this is interesting because if that hadn't crit there, I would have healed again to full before going into this slacking right here, because now I'm in a range to die to Focus Punch, which is what he's trying to use right here. I'm just out of reach of a Facade, but if you miss, then he Focus Punches and that will kill you. And just got the range. I was worried I wasn't going to hit that range right there. But we got past Norman. Very good fight. Well, except, not perfect because we got the 2 sleeps, so that was annoying. Usually, once I get past this fight, I get pumped because it's very rare you get past this fight. You get to this section of the run. So now we're gonna get Surf. And now comes the switch, basically, where we start focusing more on water moves than ground and strength and attack moves. Yep, I closed the menu accidentally, slip of the finger. Teach Surf. We're going to be picking up 2 rare candies. Here's the first one. This is the second to last big shop. More heals. I think I screwed up some in the menu right here, yep. So, and then the final batch of XPs and attacks. We abuse those X items in this run. Yep, more bad biking. Yeah. So this is another extended biking. I think this is the last. Yeah, this is like, well, second to last scary bike session. Here's the second rare candy. So if we were to get the desert candy, as I was talking before, at the end of the Flannery fight, we would ignore this one. If you get a tentacle on these, it's best to just mudshot. If you try to run away, there's a good chance you might not be able to run away, so it's better just to finish it off with a mudshot. And when you get that extra XP, it decides whether or not you use 2 of the rare candies from our stomp before or after the next rival fight. Thankfully these guys got out of the way. I just go without the bike for this section because that's safer. I think I hit Watson. No, I didn't. Okay. Oh yeah, but I almost got an encounter, right? Trainer right there. Now this next session of the biking is really bad, but I played it really safe here because it's so many times I've hit these trainers. It's extremely easy to do. Not happy about that, but run is still going. This is another area where you gotta keep track of how many mud shots you got left. Because right now we have 3, which is just enough. But if you miss, we walk directly down so that he moves to the right so we can walk around him once the fight's over. That's an extra step right there. I think I could have actually just walked right past. If that guy at the bottom doesn't move before you get to him, he's not going to move at that point, I believe. But I just played it safe. So we got the last mud shot, which is nice. And then, but this fight ended up being very scary, because it ended up using swagger. It's 50% to swagger, 50% to bite, and you use swagger in this spot. Now, my logic behind this is that I take damage from the first hurt myself, and I knew that I had you know, the bird still in my Pokemon. So I thought, worst case scenario, I go in here, I hurt myself again, I die, but I could use the bird to revive back up. So I was in a situation where I had backup in case it ended up killing me, so I decided to go all in. This is actually our technically heal, but technically not a Pokemon Center, so it's not technically a Poke Center heal, but it does the same thing. So because we got the Tentacool, we are going to go straight into the rival fight, and then use the rare candies after the fight. If we didn't hit the Tentacool, we would have used the rare candies right now. Same setup, pretty much the exact same setup as the last rival fight, except this time we're like, there's not much complication to it. It's just setting up the X attacks and just taking them all out. If that had crits, that would have been bad enough. That's the only way you could really die this fight. It's like magnitude 10 crit. So if we were at the low XP strats, we'd be at 33 and we could strength this, but we have to mudshot it. And again, it's better to use strength than mudshot because, like I said before, mudshot is 95% accurate, strength is 100%. And we finally get fly. So now we do the menu now. A little bit unorganized menuing right there. I ended up posting right there because I need to be above 55 for the gym leader fight. I was being too safe right there. There's two trainers right there that hide behind trees, and I was trying to stay out of sight. And I went too far. At this point, the run is about as good as it can be, given my skill level. It's about as good as you can get at this point, but what ends up happening is I end up dying to this gym leader. And that's where a big chunk of my time loss comes. Almost got an encounter there. That could have gone badly. That spinner just rotates at a consistent rate, so you just gotta get past him fast enough. You gotta make sure you don't forget the puzzle for this gym as well. Because 64 is pretty good for the fight. Because basically what happens is the lead Pokemon Swallow will usually use Double Team, which gives you a chance to miss. And you want to hit Surf on it, but if you're not in Torrent, it's a 65% damage range to kill. This crit actually, that was a good crit, because that wasn't going to kill on its own. So usually the general way the fight ends up going is you have to set up an X special, and then Swallow's faster than you, and it uses Double Team. And it uses Double Team twice before you can try to use Surf, because it's faster than you. So usually what happens is trying to hit through two Double Teams on a move that has a 65% chance to kill it. And if you don't kill it, it'll heal up, and then you gotta try again. So, the ideal scenario is that he doesn't use Double Team, and he goes in with attack moves and puts you into Torrent, because if he puts you into Torrent, then it's not a 65% damage range, it's a guaranteed kill. So just give it a little bit of boost there. I don't think one Aerial Ace can put into Torrent, I think you need two, so it's very unlikely, but going below 55 is not okay. So here's the standard fight. Do double teams and try to not in Torrent. And it's kind of sad because like this is the fight that dies. So I actually do hit on the second one, and I make the 65% damage range, which makes it even more painful. Because now comes the long process of setting up 5x attack on his Pelipper, as usually he'll just spam protect. So this is the Pokemon you want to set it up on. Now you do want him to deal some damage because you want to get into Torrent by the end, so you can take out the Skarmory after this. So it really sucks that it did damage right here, because now it forced me to heal up, because I still have an X speed to set up. So what I ended up doing right here is, yeah, that's annoying. What I ended up doing right here is, like, let's go kill off the Pelipper with the attack instead of the X speed on the Skarmory, because Skarmory is now guaranteed to use a damage move on me, get me into Torrent, and then I get punished for it because it crits. So all that gone. So I have to do it all over again. All that time. It's like, it was literally the last turn that I could have died. That one move right there. Thankfully, I get pretty much a perfect fight on the next fight, because he does double aerial ace. So I can hit through. He put me in the Torrent, so it's a guaranteed kill. So that fight that was over with right away. The only consequence is having to heal right here, because he'll use a damage move if you're within kill range. So here comes the protect spam. You can't be too high for Pelipper, because then he'll use like Super Sonic. That's another reason why you don't want to be too high. Yeah, he was just going all in on the attacks. So now this is one of the cases where I actually want to set the XP now, because now I'm in Torrent, so I don't have to set it up on Skarmory. Still kept using the protects. But now I can kill out the Skarmory and Torrent. However, it is 15 and 16 to die when Torrent. It's still not 100% to wipe this out in one hit. So this was the worst part of the run. This death. Because you saw how much time was lost. So I was like 40 seconds ahead to like a minute and a half behind. And then now it's the last scary bike session. And I ended up failing that too. Yeah, this is where I was starting to get very, very upset. I was not happy right now. I'm making these mistakes. I played safe here. You gotta be exactly one frame there. You got this is that little sliver right there where you don't want to be seen. Everything else was okay, except the part where I fail. And I almost screw up right here, where I could have been seen by this person as well. So yeah, so this was okay, see right there, I got out of the way just in time to not be seen. So then it takes me like a billion tries to get through this section. And then it drops my input right here. So, at this point, I'm almost considering resetting. But then I see it's a Pikachu, and it's like, okay, it's just one Pokemon. It's a Pokemon I can deal with. Let's see how this goes. If that slam had crit me, I would have died. The only reason why we're going this way is just to touch the edge of the Lily Cove city, so that we can fly back to it later. And then this is also... I probably didn't need to do that, the potion right there. Yeah. I mean, I was just worried of, like, missing... we gotta use a few more mud shots right here. So I was just worried about a miss into a crunch or a bite. I don't think it mattered that much, but just more time in the menus. This is a pretty boring section. All these fights are free. Now that I'm at like 37, these fights are free at this point. And now that I didn't realize how close I was to leveling up, to evolving, which is level 36, so that's why I probably should have just not. The only thing that might have mattered is that one of the Aqua fights later on, not here, but later, has a Sharpedo that's faster than you, and he has a chance of crunching, which is 38. Damage. But with this evolve, we should be out of reach from that. So, probably should have avoided using that potion. That potion was probably worthless. It did end up crunching me, but I had to heal anyway. You can strength these, but I was mud-shying them just to save on strengths, just in case. But still, was very not optimistic about this fight. I mean, this run. After Winona death and the extra trainer, this was definitely the low point of the run. And the only place I could save time was this split, because in my previous best I died to the next gem 2 or 3 times. At this point, I'm just thinking in my head, like, okay, where does my health need to be for not only this Sharpedo fight, but also the fight right before Tate and Lies in the gym? Because what ended up happening last time on one of my runs is I died to the fight before the gym, because you want to be as low health as you could possibly get going into the Taken Liza fight, because you have to manipulate their AI into thinking that it can kill you, they can kill you. So, because you don't want them to use their defensive moves like Calm Mind, Light Screen, you want them just to go use Psychic. And this is also an unfortunate part right here. I ended up getting the encounter on the last tile that I could have gotten it. And I should have just used the Super Repel. I mean, I had extras, so I should have used. So that's my bet. So that's entirely my mistake. I do do something a little bit safe here. I pick up the Max Elixir just as a backup in case the Taken Liza fight goes bad, where you gotta keep using Surf after they keep healing up, because that's happened a few times. And there was a run where I pretty much ran out of Surfs. So I just pick up, it's a really quick pickup, the Max Elixir, so I just pick it up always at this point. It's not, it's like, I don't know, like a about 7-9 second loss. We pick up the Master Ball here, so I do the Master Ball strat with capturing Kyogre. There's an advanced technique to not need the Master Ball, but it's extremely hard, and I just don't mess around with that. I just do the easy method. But that's a big time loss. Like, doing the Master Ball strat compared to how they normally do it is like 40 seconds, 45 seconds, just to get that Master Ball. So here's the Sharpedo fight. So I'm not gonna die to, well, maybe I could die to Crunch Crit. Yeah, I could definitely die to Crunch Crit here. But, so he did use Crunch, which now puts me into kill range of, I believe, puts me in the kill range of 1 Nightshade. But we want to be out of range of at least one Nightshade. So the Xatu fight, it's just one Pokemon, Xatu, and it's 1 in 3 to use Nightshade. So I think I end up using another potion. I took an extra step right here. Yeah. I don't know why my cursor was on the Pokemon spot. So yeah, I had two Super Repels left over, so I could have easily used it. Usually I have the Super Repel in case something happens with my movement, or if I have to get the Desert Candy, I need another Super Repel to get it. Really bad biking. Really bad biking. And this also ended up being another mistake. I had plenty of extra money. So what I'm going to start doing, if I ever continue running this, is buy more of these full heals. Because I end up running out. And then it put me into a situation where I had to do more safety saves, because if I got hit with any more status ailments, it would have been game over. So this is the Zatu fight. I've had a run die to this fight just because it double nightshaded me. And that's why I started taking a revive along with me. Just in case that happens. But in this case he doesn't nightshade. Either time, which is fine, because I believe I need to be just less than 50%. I think is just enough, just low enough to manipulate the AI into doing what I want them to do. But I put the potion on just in case one nightshade was enough to kill me. So this is the hardest fight in the game, by far. I have practiced this fight several times. There's like 12, 14 different ways this fight could go, and you just gotta make a call whenever stuff happens. So, save. My last run died, like I said, my last run died through this fight 2 times. This was my best chance to get time save, especially after the Winona death and the extra trainer I had. So, this was kind of like a make or break for the run right here. You gotta do moves based on what they do. But it always starts the same. You gotta get faster than them, and then once you manipulate them to attack you, heal the full. So kills the slave, which Lunatone, which is good because Solok is less likely to kill the cast form. But what ends up happening is a really bad, which is that it's critical the cast form, which killed it. And now this is a very unlikely to win scenario. You just gotta go for it with these because you don't have much time left. And what ended up happening is that he missed with Hypnosis several times, and I made this really, really tough range to hit right here, which is a surf and dive range. It's like a coin flip or slightly less than a coin flip to kill off the Solok with that combo. And if I didn't hit that range, it would have been over. And like I said, he hypnosis twice. And because I'm at full health, he's likely to use, Calm Mind, Light Screen, and if he uses those things, I could still die through this fight. So, great, amazing fight. Amazing fight. Insane fight for losing cast form at the start. I did not expect to win that fight after cast form died. So at this point, now I'm like 4 minutes ahead now. Just like that. Even after the Winona death and extra trainer, 4 minutes ahead. So this is where I use the max elixir at this point, just to be sure. Took me a while to get to the super pel. If you're really experienced, you can actually, and if you're perfect with your movement, you can actually use these super repels at very specific locations so that they'll run out on the very last frame or tile before you go into a spinner, and that basically acts as the same thing as the back manips that I've been doing, which is opening and closing the menu. So, but I don't do that, I'm just pointing that out. It's just like, because I think right coming up here, that spinner right there at the top, they do that trick. But I just play it safe. Okay, so it wasn't okay. But I think what they do is they would set up the super repel at the gym, not at the edge of the sea. That's what they would do. Because it's going to run out right here. Yep. And I took an extra step there like an idiot. Lots of puzzles here. I played it slow here because... That's a mistake right there. It's easy to hit the boulders into the wrong spot and then you gotta reload the area. So, just to avoid embarrassment, I just played it safe. So I walk to move these boulders right here. Yeah. Just to be safe. Costs a few seconds, but better than having to reload the whole area again. This fight actually ended up going really well because it ended up putting me at a good HP setup for the Archie fight, because it's not common that I leave the Tate and Liza fight at full health. So I need to take some damage. So I'm actually very fortunate that the Sharpedo used Crunch. And it's also really good at Miss Scary Face as well. So yeah, very fortunate fight right here. Same thing, play it slow, just in case. Just to be safe. I do save here, just because of how good the run was going at that point. I don't have as much experience with this fight because it's late in the game, so... Wasn't quite sure I was at the right health or what exactly what you do in specific situations, so I just did, just to be safe. But this fight ended up going really well. But I had to think about it for a little bit. I think my decisions paused, I think. Same thing as the first Archie fight, guard spec, because he's just gonna spam Scary Face. He's very likely to Scary Face. So now, while he's busy Scary Facing you and doing nothing, or setting up the X items. So here comes more of the status elements. This is where it starts, again, depleting my full heals and heal powders. Because remember, I had to use 2 on the slacking, so yawn twice. And now I've had to heal off another one. So I decided to go in right here before set up the X speed on the Crobat, because I can tank 2. And you have to get into Torrent. You have to get 1/3 less HP. So I wanted to tank 2 air cutters or wing attacks right here to get into Torrent. So I decided to set up the XP here, but then he uses Confused Ray because I'm at too high of a health. But then he does the job and gets me to where I need to be. So really, the Aqua fights did a really good job of getting me to the health I need to for this Sharpedo, because you need it. You absolutely need all the stuff, the 2X specials, Torrent, just to get this guy out. So this was the point where I was at the most ahead of the run, this fight right here. Because after this, it's a bunch of time losses. Because in my previous run, this was actually the worst part of the run. And pretty much after this is where I did nothing but everything went perfectly. And now here, a lot of things got in the way. So this fight went well, but I had to use up two heal items. And that ended up mattering. And this is basically the last challenge. The last scary part of the fight, of the run, which is catching Kyogre. It's even more complicated if you're not using the Master Ball strat, but like I said, I'm not doing that. But we do manipulate one thing, which is trying to get the best stats we can get, specifically for special attack and speed. Those are the two things that we want. So we manipulate to hit specific frames that have really good special attack and speed. And what I ended up getting was a pretty mediocre Kyogre. It was just barely passable. And the only reason I didn't... That's a mistake, right? Because I saved it, my cursor was still on the save. Every time to reset to get a different Kyogre costs 45 seconds. So I just had to make do with the Kyogre. It had, I believe it was like 154 special attack and 90 speed. That's really low speed for what you want. Normally you want something a little bit higher than that, like 94, 98. And then I think the best Kyogre is like 164 special attack and 98 speed. That's the best one. But there's a couple of frames around that Kyogre that's like in 150 special attack and 90 speed. Another walk. This is another bad biking session, man. You're going through the dark again, but it's even worse because you're on your bike going through the dark. So, yep. So in this area, it's just better to get off the bike. There's just way too many corners right here. Just try to make sure I don't walk into it without doing the setup. So I press A on a specific frame. So you gotta sit through all this if you were to reset. And the difference between this Kyogre and Swampert is off the charts. It's almost double the special attack. That's how big of a difference it is. So now comes the long menu of setting everything up with this Kyogre. So first we do the rare candy to check what its stats are. 154, 90, so it's like, it's good and it's just barely enough. But it ended up, you know, causing some issues in parts of the run. Well, actually, I kind of got bailed out on certain spots, to be honest. So yeah, it could have gotten even worse than with this guy, so... Got pretty lucky. That's a mistake right there. And that's another mistake I ended up doing is in this upcoming fight where you're gonna get again really bad things start happening is I got confused too many times and started eating away at the heal items I had. But what I could have done is I could have used the second Prism Berry to heal off one of those. I just didn't think about it because it's never really ran into that situation before where it's just confused, I'm running out of items. I just saved here because I was getting way too nervous. I mean, I've done this 1,000 times, but I always think in my head, what if today's the day where I mess up this puzzle? Because if you mess up this puzzle, the run's over. But as long as you don't get confused, this fight is free. It's just a bunch of time wasters past this point. Once you get to Kyogre, all the stuff you're gonna see from this point on is free. So there's the first confuse. The very first one confused me. That's why you put the Prism Berry on, just to get these confuses. But it doesn't play around getting more than one. And that's what happened. If I had higher special attack, I would have taught Waterfall over Hydro Pump, but when it's like the low 150s, I keep Hydro Pump just to kill that Wish Cache because Hydro Pump is only 80% accurate, whereas Waterfall is 100, but it's less power. Because pretty much all they use in this fight is just water pulses. I forget what's the probability of confusing. It's like 50% or something. Because in my previous run, you know, and how bad it was, like I crit this Melodic in my previous run. So I get confused here. And like, okay. And then I realized, oh no, I only have 2 full heals left. Because there's a fight coming up later that's very likely to get paralyzes, and that's exactly what happens. So that was a very slow fight. So I lost time there. And then you'll see here why falling through the floor right there is a run over. You gotta fight through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trainers. I don't know why I did that right there. So now we give Kyogre the Mystic Water, which gives it more of a water boost. And now we don't need the Hydro Pump anymore. Now we put the Waterfall on it. Now, what I probably should have done there is I probably should have max repel right there, rather than setting it up right here. Just an extra unnecessary menu. I have plenty of max repels to get me through, so I should have just max repelled on that menu. But like I said before, usually, once you get to Kyogre, you're home free. At this point, it's just you just hope you don't get time wasters. It's less about dying; it's just time wasters. I've had a few runs get past this point. I've only died once after Kyogre, and that was only because I was pushing it. Like, you gotta be either... You would have to be very negligent to die past Kyogre. Still bad biking. All these fights are free. There's like 4 fights you gotta go through here. 5 fights. They're all free. But I ended up, oh, that's right. I got like 5 or 6 unnecessary critical hits, which was even more time wasters. I just go without the bike for this part, so it's too many bonks. You gotta be very careful on this spot. More than once I've screwed up right here because you can't push that boulder to the right, and then you can't push that boulder to the right, so you need to get them out of the way. Man, really bad biking. Because if you move them to the right, you gotta reset the area. This is where Kyogre just dominates. You know, like close to 160 special attack, Mystic Water, and then Drizzle, which makes it rain, gives it another 50% boost. So it's the most powerful water moves you can get. Surf and Waterfall are both 100%, but Surf is slightly stronger. So on moves where it's more than powerful enough, we're using Waterfall, and on ones where we need all the damage we can get, we use Surf. You just gotta memorize this area. But I'm screwing it up. See, this is where I screwed up right here. I was getting a super potion, and I should have done, and I knew I should have done it on that last max repel menu. So I have to open up a menu again to do the super potion. We surf here instead of Ice Beam because we need all the Ice Beam we can get for the Elite Four. Good enough, Kyogre's enough to just barely kill that. And I take an extra step right here, yep. This fight's free. Slow. That's the only downside of Kyogre's ability, is that you gotta sit through more text for each turn. And I think we get 2 crits on this fight. Just more time. So at this point, we've lost some time since the Archie 2 fight, but it was still 4 minutes ahead. From my previous best. But the Elite Four this time was very, very bad. Half of it was my fault, and half of it was Elite Four's fault. And part of it was Wallace's fault, the last gym leader, because I ended up having barely enough full heals. Well, I think talked to him twice. Because I was thinking about, full heals, I was thinking about this heal, I was trying to decide whether or not to do it or not, so I ended up talking to Wally twice. Yeah, it's just like every single split after Archie 2 was just slowly chipping away at my time save. So what ended up happening is, because we ran out of heals, I had to make safety saves on fights that I would never ever save on. And like I said before, this Kyogre doesn't have the best speed, so there's a lot of spots where really bad stuff could have happened, and we thankfully avoided them, but we still had to sit through turns where you would normally be faster than these guys and just skip their turn. Because normally if you just have a little bit higher speed, then you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just mow them down. So we're slower than this one. Yep, so we have to sit through this. And Absol is Snatch, which is which always goes first. So doesn't matter if that's just a coin flip. Even if you have the perfect Kyogre, that can happen. But this is where things could have gone really bad. I was slower than this Shiftry, and he tried a double team, which I've never seen him do. But thankfully we hit. Because if I had missed that Ice Beam, I don't know what I would have done, because you need every single Ice Beam you can get. Okay, so what we would have had to do is that we would have had to use another X Special and use a Surf as a substitute. That's what we would have had to do. But that would have been even more time loss. This fight was okay. This fight went the way it should have. Yeah, man, it's just like if it weren't for these fights and how bad they went, this mediocre Kyogre constantly getting status issues, I could have definitely saved like a minute and a half from this final stretch. It's really unfortunate that this really affected the run that way. We do the shockwave right here because Surf is very unlikely to kill in one shot. So we do a combination of these two. You can't do Surf first because that'll put him in heal range. So now comes the worst part, which is this Glacia fight, which is always the worst fight in the Elite Four, like regardless of this situation I'm in. But not having enough full heals and Kyogre being mediocre just makes this worse. The first part we actually end up getting bailed out though. Because I believe so. Because what ends up happening is one of the few times where we're slower than Lale, and he does Hail right away, which takes off the Drizzle ability, so this I don't believe the Surf was going to kill, but we crit it anyway. So that was a mistake on my end. I should not have surfed. But I did, but ended up getting bailed out right there. But this is a part of the run, part of the Elite Four that's always bad, which is not just praying that you don't get paralyzed, which is a 30% chance to happen from these body slams. Because you gotta set up 3 X specials in this fight. So there's the first one. I was like, okay. It's not very good. Not only that, because I felt like I would even if this body slam didn't do it, I would have to heal him, but I got paralyzed again. So, okay, I'm healing. So I was like, okay, there's my last full heal now. I still have one more. Now what I should have done right here is I should have shockwaved this one and gone to the next CeeLo, which uses Blizzard instead of Body Slam, which is only 10% to freeze compared to 30% chance to paralyze with Body Slam. So that was my bad, but at that point I was just panicking. I was in full panic mode. So I could just go right ahead and shockwave this guy right here. Because now we're at 3 X specials. And all it is just to kill this final Pokemon, because you need all 3 to guarantee a kill on it. And the funny thing is, I was starting to debate whether or not I had 3. I put on 3. I thought, I was like, wait, did I put on 2 or 3? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I did, and then thankfully I was right. Because if you only have 2, it doesn't kill, then he's gonna heal again, and he has a 1-hit kill move. And this is the fight where we use up all of our ice beams. And Shogun can use Protect sometimes, although it is pretty rare. So if he had Protected, that would have been another case of running out of Ice Beams. But thankfully we just need to set up this 1 speed. So this is one of the one fight that went according Phoebe and Drake were the 2 fights that went normal. Just those 2. Because now I would normally never heal for Steven. But the problem is that he can use Toxic right out of the gate. And I would have had nothing to heal Toxic off. So, even though I was less than 50% health, which is good because then it discourages from using Toxic, but it doesn't completely forbid it from using Toxic. So there was still a chance that I could get Toxic poisoned and in really big trouble. So I had to use it to do another safety save. Just in case he led with Toxic. Thank God that did not happen. So, as you can see, as we wrap this up, very unfortunate ending after all that. Very unfortunate death to Winona. Stupid encounter with an extra trainer. Kind of really put a really sour note at the end of this run. So after going before the Winona fight, I was like, this is the run. I'm super pumped. And Winona death happened. I was like, okay, this is just another run that's barely going to be a PB. And then the Tate and Liza fight goes amazing. I was like, okay, now it's back to good again. And then all this stuff happened where I was like, ugh, what it could have been. And then I get more unnecessary critical hits. But as you see here, he did Aerial Ace, which is what we wanted him to use. Because we had nothing to heal with. So I should have bought more full heals. Would have avoided all this panic. You can waterfall everything except Cradley and Metagross. You need to surf those 2. But it's funny how easy this fight is. It's just mowing them down. So 210 is, I wanted to get under 210, but the thing is that I might be okay with this run for right now. In order to improve on the leaderboard, I need to save 3 more minutes. The next run is like 2:07:34. So basically I would have to not die to Winona, not hit the extra trainer, and everything else going about the same. Maybe even a little bit more, and not having a bad Elite Four. Basically all those bad things to get to a 207, which is extremely unlikely. I mean, I can get more full heals now. Caution. It's just extremely unlikely that happened. I got 2 yawns from Norman, 2 confuses from Archie 2, 2 confuses from Wallace, and 2 paralyzes from Glacia. I mean, what? Like, you don't plan around that. I've never seen that many in a single run. But it is what it is. I'll probably not be going back to Sapphire for a little while. Probably focus on other runs. Because I have no, as of right now, I have no intention of learning the more advanced techniques. It just seems to be way too much risk for a little reward, not much of a payoff. Right. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope it helps out if anybody's trying to speedrun this game.